Welcome to my domain. That's right, I have become Chef Boyardee ever since we moved back from Costa Rica. And when we moved into this house, I found it an opportunity to go ahead and have a little bit more fun. I've got a nice little galley style kitchen here, but when we moved, I realized that it needed a little bit of overhaul. The cabinets, as you can see, look very old and dated. In fact, they're probably close to being the original cabinets from this house, which is built back around 1975, 1977, something like that. But the thing that bothered me the most about this kitchen is the inefficiency. We've got the sink that's in the wrong location, the refrigerator that's in the wrong location. We got two pantries that are in the back that are extremely deep, inaccessible. You can't put stuff in it, and it's kind of a nightmare. My goal here, since I do spend so much time here, is to make a kitchen that is going to be relatively effective and efficient and looks a hell of a lot nicer too. Now, for about the next 2 weeks, we're going to be working with Continental Kitchen and Bath, who we've hired as our contractor to come in here and redo the floor, redo the cabinets, the ceiling. Demolition starts in 2 days, and I'm going to be recording all this. Although we're not able to make this kitchen any physically bigger, we're going to do our damnedest to make it look bigger. For starters, we're taking out this front wall and this side wall over here. We're going to be taking out the entire wall, lowering it down into what's called a knee wall, which will open up the entire look and feel of the kitchen. New granite countertops are going to extend beyond this wall and are going to take it out into the dining room area. So that's about it, guys. Hang with us for the next couple of weeks and watch us as we renovate our kitchen. With the temporary loss of our existing kitchen and living room, our family room looked more like a warehouse at the local discount furniture outlet, while my office turned into the new kitchen food prep area. Having watched hundreds of new home makeover videos on TV, I thought that on day one, we're going to see a small army of workers descend on our house to begin demolition. But to my surprise, only Tomas, our contractor, showed up. This is the hardest part we got right now, is getting this frickin' refrigerator out of the house. Had to go ahead and take off some doors, take off some handles, and now we're trying to go ahead and move it to its new permanent location in the garage. Not able to just stand around doing nothing, I pitched in and helped to relocate our major appliances. With the kitchen masked off in visqueen, Tomas begins the task of total and complete annihilation.
Okay, this is day one. Day one, he took out everything. He gutted this place. It is amazing. Now the good thing is, this is an old house, but this house has pretty good bones. We didn't find any surprises, no mold, mildew, a lot of dirt. But other than that, everything's fine. So Fran Browne from A Hollow Kitchen. We will see you again tomorrow.
My goal is to make the kitchen look and feel bigger, all the while improving its working efficiency. We are saying goodbye to everything. Our new kitchen has been stripped down to its skeletal frame, providing complete access to the electrical nerve center. Having jobbed out some minor electrical work 3 years ago, I knew that the wiring in this house might be problematic. That proved to be an understatement. I had a very uneasy feeling as I watched the electricians diagnose the state of our wiring. As they tested and traced all the electrical lines back to the main breaker, they confirmed earlier suspicions. The state of our wiring was a massive clusterfuck. What should have been a one-day job to relocate outlets and add new lighting turned into 2.5 days of hardcore electrical diagnostics and surgery. With the initial electrical work now completed, some simple plumbing modifications need to be made. Since we were not introducing any major changes to our water flow, all we needed was some new PVC and relocated about 12 inches to the right. With the plumbing out of the way, new drywall was installed and our new 8-foot ceiling was properly finished off. But this is where we discovered another new opportunity. We quickly came to learn that the kitchen's new plaster ceiling is not visually compatible with the adjoining room's popcorn ceiling. A seamless transition was needed, so we opted to remove the old popcorn and resurface the living room to match that of the kitchen. Oh yeah, and while we're at it, Fran decided now would be a great time to add new crown molding, 4-inch baseboards, and of course, a new 2-tone paint job all around the living room. With almost half of this project now complete, it was time to install the new tile floor. Knowing that Fran is obsessed with cleaning grout, we opted for a laser-cut stone which allowed for an installation with almost zero grout lines. Today, our cabinets get installed. Now, for the first time since we began this project, our kitchen is going to start looking like a real kitchen.
Good morning. We are 9 days into the renovation of our kitchen and our living area. So far, they've taken the popcorn off the ceiling. They've retextured our ceiling with, I think it's called like a drop trowel kind of technique. The house is a friggin' mess, and you know how I am. You know, everything is everywhere, and it is kind of a nightmare for someone like me, but I just gotta learn to chill out, tranquila, just chill out. It'll all get back together. It'll all be clean again. I will get it fixed. It will be perfect.
But before we see this transformation, let's take a step back and see how we got to this point. 2 months before we start demolition, Fran and I visited several granite wholesalers. Our task was to select our slab of granite, a rather daunting experience. But going through this process, we learned a lot. For starters, the price of granite is predicated on the grade you choose, 1 through 6. The higher the number, the more luxurious the appearance, therefore the higher the price. We budgeted about $3,000 for our granite countertops, placing us more towards the lower end of grades 1 or 2. But just to let you know, 90% of all kitchens using granite incorporate grades 1 or 2. After about 30 minutes of looking at slab after slab, we finally found ours. And to help us in that decisioning process, Fran even brought along samples of our cabinet doors, just so as to compare the color and contrast. Once the slab has been selected, the fabricator comes to the house to take detailed measurements of everything. This process begins with the meticulous construction of an area template. The fabricators then use this template to cut out the sections of slab that will be used in the final installation. As you can see, in the engineer's drawing, our single slab of granite will yield 5 new sections that will perfectly form our new countertop array. Once the slab has been cut, the edges are then polished to perfection. With the fabrication work now complete, it's finally time for the granite to be installed. With my anxiety levels at their peak, I watched as each piece was gently brought in and put into place. After all the pieces were installed and anchored down, access holes were then drilled for the installation of the faucet and soap dispenser. And last but not least, an application of granite sealer was applied. This sealing process should be done twice a year in order to prevent any possible staining.
Wow, I love this granite. You know, we picked this out a couple of months ago, and I think I completely forgot how beautiful it is. I just really like it. It's starting to look like a really nice kitchen. Once the backsplash goes up tomorrow, it's going to be perfect. That's a big-ass sink. Now remember, no cooking, no getting this kitchen dirty, okay? Now I know I don't have the best eyes, but I'll be taking a magnifying glass out pretty soon. I think the seam is awesome. These guys did a great job. It's over here somewhere. I can't touch anything right now, but I think they did a great job. But wow, I'm pretty damn happy. I'm real happy. Yes!
Next up is the installation of our backsplash. While not a super complicated part of the project, many subsequent steps, such as appliance installation and the installation of new electrical outlets, are contingent on this phase. With the backsplash done, the electricians return to complete their final portion of the job. The only thing left to make this a working kitchen were the appliances. Purchased more than 4 months prior to the start of our project, we took advantage of a national holiday sale and purchased a complete suite of GE profile appliances from Jessup here in Venice. Not only did they hold them for us without charging us for storage, we didn't even have to pay for them until it was time for delivery. How sweet was that? And on day 33 of the project, our appliances were finally delivered. While I was anxious when the granite was installed, that paled in comparison to my anxiety level now. Continental designed and built the requisite space for the appliances using factory specifications based on our GE model numbers. If an error was going to be made, it's probably going to happen here. First to go in was our sleek new range. After hooking up power, they simply pushed the range back into place. I said they pushed the range back into place. But as I record this sequence, an uneasy feeling churns deep inside of me. Then one of the installers whips out his trusty tape measure and starts checking and rechecking the dimensions of the opening and that of the range. They even looked inside the range for some strange reason. And after a few minutes, we got the bad news. This thing just ain't gonna fit. Let's hope they have better luck with the refrigerator. Before it was pushed back into place, the fridge was powered up, water line connected, and pressure tested. For 10 minutes, these guys tried to finesse the fridge into its new home, but to no avail. They finally gave up and told me that my new fridge just was not going to fit either. They were concerned, and rightfully so, that if they continue, they would probably damage our new cabinets. By this time, I was beginning to boil on the inside. Even though it was 8 o'clock at night, I called Tomas from Continental Kitchens to explain the situation. While I was freaking out and livid, he was cool, calm, and collected, and told me, "Andy, just chill out." He told me that this happens all the time, and that he and the granite fabricator would be by first thing in the morning and make everything all right. So as the first install team departed, the next installer drove up. As I explained the issues to this installer, he too reassured me that unless a major construction mistake was made, my contractor would make the necessary adjustments and all would be good. It was actually quite fortuitous that the range could not be installed at this time, because the second installer needed the range's space to properly lift and set the heavy microwave in its planned location. In the end, it took 2 of us to properly set this monster microwave in its final resting place. And finally, the dishwasher was ready for installation. The great news is we had more than adequate space to set the unit in its place. plumbing and electrical hookups were perfectly set, and the installation went off without a hitch. While we were hoping to be celebrating our new kitchen, we went to bed that night not knowing if we would even have a functional kitchen the next day. By 8:30 that next morning, Tomas and the granite fabricator had arrived. As they carefully looked over the situation, remeasuring both the appliances and areas where they were to fill, they identified the problems. In both cases, the allotted width was off by a mere 1/32 of an inch. With minimal effort, the wooden area for the fridge was expanded to accommodate that appliance. But the range was a different matter. The granite needed to be ground back in two areas so as to allow for the pushback of the appliance. Working with a handheld grinder and shop vac, that pesky 1/32 of an inch was removed and the range assumed its rightful position in our new kitchen. When Fran and I started this project, it was our intent to modernize the look and feel of our kitchen, increase its functionality, all the while adding value to the house. In our opinion, we scored 3 out of 3. Although we began this project with a budget of $20,000, we quickly learned that was never going to happen. 30 grand was much more realistic. And in the end, when you take into consideration the unforeseen challenges we had regarding subpar electric and the disparity we had between ceilings, our final cost was closer to $32,000. But the good news is, if we were to sell our house today, we would recoup virtually 100% of that investment. But who cares? We're not going anywhere. I think this is our terminal house. Without making the kitchen 1 square inch bigger, we increased our working counter space by nearly 30% and cabinet storage area by about 35%. We are very happy with the design and our finished product. And the coolest thing is, when friends come over to check out the results, the first words they utter is, "Wow." This kind of makes us feel like we did the right thing. This is Andy Browne from Frandyland Video and our home on Bel Air Drive. Thanks for watching, and stay in touch.